Hey everyone, this is Carl with UV Design, Media Tips and Tricks. And on today's tutorial, we're going to talk about schema. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in and watching this tutorial. Today we're going to talk about schema. Schema is a type of markup that search engines use to specifically know what your website does, right? What is it exactly about? We're all pretty aware of SEO, keywords, sitemaps and stuff. All these things kind of tell Google and other search engines what's on your website, but sometimes they don't specifically are telling these search engines what your website is or does, right? So it's like going in a grocery store and you see a bunch of boxes that just have cake on the label. You can't see inside it. You have no idea what type of cake it is. All you just know, it's a cake. So you're kind of at the mercy of just randomly picking something and hoping you get what you want. What schema does is adds a layer of code to your web page and specifically list out things that are on your website, right? Your website name, what type of website is it? Is it a local business? Is it a sports team? Is it a restaurant? Is it an organization, a government office? All these specific things, email address, phone number. It just basically says, this is what I do, and here's what's inside that, right? So it's adding this extra shell to search engines so there's no confusion specifically what's going on with your website. So today we're going to kind of go over a little bit more understanding of that and kind of how to start putting that onto your website, right? There's different ways of doing that. If you have WordPress, there are a couple plugins that kind of help you do that, kind of limit you though a little bit, but they're offered on there. To be honest with you, I don't know what like Squarespace or Wix does. I've never used those platforms before, but if you can put in some custom code into those, you can put whatever type of schema you want. And we're going to show you the way I like, because it has the most control and you can put exactly what you want on there. So let's get started. So the first thing we have is we can go to schema.org/docs/full.html. And what this does is tells you all the different types of markup that you have that can be placed on a web page. Obviously, not all of this can be placed on there. Certain things can go on certain places, reservations, ratings. There's tons of it on here. And to be honest with you, I will probably never touch most of this stuff, which is perfectly fine. But at the end of the day, this is a good reference point to kind of help you guide you on what you can mark up and what you can help Google with. So usually what I tell people is first just put your website and let's figure out what type of markup's already on your website, right? How do you do that? Google, of course. Google they have a tool called Structured Data Testing Tool. And inside here, you can put any type of website you want. Just put the URL, or if you have the code. So if you're marking some code up and you want to test that code out and see if you have any errors or see what you're coming up with, making sure you're coding it correctly, you can do that here. So you can enter a URL. Let's put in a pretty kind of popular URL that a couple people go to once in a while. I'm going to go to ESPN and see what they have marked up. Obviously, they're going to be a little bit different. They're ESPN, They don't have to really worry about having correct markup on everything because people are going to go to them, right? People are already going to go there to it. So their markup is not going to be as important to them as, let's say, a local business owner selling cars or pastries or, whatever. So their website markup type, it's a website. So they're saying, hey, I'm a website. What's the name of your website? ESPN. What's the URL? ESPN.com. Pretty easy, right? And here's all the code for their website. And you can see if you click in these little sections, it goes right to the code. So it'll even tell you how it's marked up. We'll get back to this here in a second, but just kind of cool. And site navigation element. Basically, what they're telling you is this is the menu. Here's the menu structure. This is a site navigation element. Here's the name of it, NFL. And here's where that link takes you to. Here's the next one. Here's the next one, right? It's just broken down to all the menus. And if you actually go to ESPN, you'll see exactly what they're talking about, right? Right here. This is the menu, and here's all the other sub menus that are inside of there. They mark this up saying, on this specific page, you will find all of these menus. So, yeah, makes sense, right? Now, let's say you don't own ESPN, you don't own one of the biggest sports companies out there. If you do, you're not watching this tutorial. Let's do a new test, and let's do my buddy's website, meatheads.catering. They're a barbecue catering company out of Cedar Rapids, Iowa. So if you live in that area, you want some barbecue, killer barbecue, get a hold of them. So it just takes a second to scan it. And they have, again, website, type of website, name of website, URL. So there's 2 website listings underneath this one. This is from their old markup that WordPress still has a cache of, so it'll go away in a day or 2. But this is the one we care about because this is the one I put on there. And then it's a food establishment, right? So we'll cover that here in a second, but we're telling Google this is a food establishment. They're not a restaurant because they don't have an actual location. They're a catering company. So this is as close as we can get to that. We'll go more of that here in a second, but just kind of give you an overview of the markup. ID. ID is, again, just the identifier of their website. These are all the images that are on their website. So if you take a look here. Oops. So these are all the images that are on their website, right? We're telling Google exactly what they are and what they're all about. Again, the name of the business is Meathead Smokehouse and Rentals. It serves cuisine. Google knows, well, if you're a restaurant, you have to have some sort of cuisine. So you put that in here, their barbecue catering. Description, we just used what we did for their meta description. I just put that in there, kind of keep that consistent. Email, here's their email, price range, telephone number. So you can see there's a lot of stuff that's marked up in here, right? Here's where their menu is located at, their address, their geolocation, latitude, longitude. Here's the areas that they serve. So here's the major areas that they serve and the major cities around those areas. Again, we're helping Google let them know that they're a service company. They provide a service and they go to these areas to provide that service with. So basically, what type of area? It's a city. You could put a state in there if you serve the whole entire state. I like doing the cities. It just helps specifically out. The ID, we actually use Wikipedia. And what this is telling Google is if we just put name Dubuque, well, if there's multiple Dubuques in the United States or in the world, it would get confused and not know which Dubuque. So you use the Wikipedia markup to let them know specifically we're talking about Dubuque, Iowa, right? And so here's all the major cities that they serve. Now, again, there's more markups and stuff that you can have. You can have tons of markups on here, but we kind of just start with the most basic ones, the ones that are the most important, and we go from there. And this is kind of what I want you guys to start off with. It's just like the website one, and then the basic type of business you are. And like I was saying earlier, food establishment is as close as we can get to the catering company themselves. If you go back to the schema.org, there is a section, because this is kind of, as you can see, this is set up as a hierarchy system. Organization. So organization is the top level of this one, right? So if you had the most generic business in the world and you at least wanted something on there, organization is what the minimum of here would be. But like I said, you go to this list, try to find the closest thing that represents your business or online store. Airline, corporation, educational organization. You can have college, university, elementary school, high school, middle school, list goes on. And then here you have local business. This is going to be a lot of people choose from. They're going to find their business inside here and pick the closest one to their business type. For instance, I'm a website design marketing company. Professional service is the closest one that I can get to. It doesn't break it down. There's not a breakdown after that. So, it is what it is. No big deal. I'm all right with that. Again, all these type of different stores that owners that you have. So again, you just find the closest one. If you're a store and none of these match your criteria, then you just put store, right? Or if you're a sports activity location, just put sports activity. If none of these match, you just get the closest that you can. So you can use any of these inside of here to be listed as this. Then all this markup, images, areas served, all that stuff can be associated with any of this stuff. So you kind of just break it down even more onto here, which is pretty cool. Now, like I was saying earlier, you can just click on any of this stuff. You can see the code itself. So how do you know what code to put on there, even how to start coding out? Like I said, this is kind of more advanced for more advanced users, I guess, than just your, someone just starting out. Like I was saying earlier, WordPress offers some plugins that'll add some markup. There's a company called Schema App. It's like $30 a month, and it works out. I mean, they offer the. Let me see how to say this. They offer the most flexibility to adding markup to your website, but you still have to understand what the markup's used for. You still have to pick all these different things and associate with it. All they're doing is building this code out for you, right? So if you're not comfortable at code at all, but you want the most flexibility for adding the most markup, Schema App, and then this is the website, schemaapp.com, right? I first used them when I first started out, and it worked well, but eventually I was like, I don't want to pay $30 a month. I mean, that's fine for myself on one website, but do I have the freedom to do this myself and get this going? Yeah, I think I can learn it, right? And so, that was what I started doing. So I started learning, how do I code it correctly? And that's what this video tutorial is about, is how do you code it correctly? So, if you're not comfortable, go ahead and keep watching, kind of learn, move on. But just know that schema is important for your website and SEO, right? The more data you can give search engines about your website, the better, and they're going to, not the better, geez, the more they're going to like that and better serve you in the long run. So, so what I use is Atom as my text editor. So again, you can go to any website that has markup. Actually, let's turn around here for a second. Go to this gearbox, go to View Search Gallery. Google has their own documentation to help you with starting to do markup, right? Breadcrumbs, that helps you with navigation, corporate contact, carousels, logos, and stuff like that. So they have all of this already marked out for you. Again, it's not everything, it's just a good starting block, right? So you can go to local business and you can read through this article, which is good information. Here's some code for hours of operation and some more terminology and how things work and stuff like that, which is pretty good. It's great information, but let's just kind of get to the root of it. And you can hit C markup. And what they do is they open up a new tab for structured, and they put in all the codes, just the code itself, right? Nothing to do with a website or anything like that, just some generic information. You can hit validate, and you can see that it's marked up as a restaurant. There's the ID, there's images, names, geolocations, the hours that they're open. Obviously, it's missing some stuff, right? Like we have areas served and stuff like that. But if you have a restaurant location, you're not really going to serve areas, right? Unless you deliver. But so this is like a brick and mortar restaurant you go to, right? Here's their days they're open and closed and stuff like that. So realistically, all you have to do is copy this markup, open up whatever text editor you want to. I use Atom. There's Sublime, Notepad++, whatever Mac default text editor is. And you just paste it in there. And honestly, you start kind of just replacing the data with whatever data you want inside of there. Address, localities, your city, region, zip code, geo coordinates. You just Google longitude, latitude. There's multiple websites that can turn your address into longitude, latitude. You put that in there if you want. Again, this is just giving Google as much information as humanly possible. So then when you're done replacing stuff, you just copy it, pop it right back in here in the test tool and see if you got anything that's wrong, right? Or any errors. Right here, there's 2 warnings. Warnings are okay. I mean, obviously you don't want warnings, but they're just saying, based on the information you gave us, you should also have this information, right? So we told them it's a restaurant. Well, here's the price range and serves cuisine. So they assume that you should have at least a price range of food, right? From $5 all the way up to $100, and what type of cuisine you have. Well, if you go back to my buddy's website, serves cuisine, we have barbecue catering, and for price range starting at $19.97. So I put that in there. So again, Google knows these are the starting blocks for those specific markups and stuff. So it does take, some little bit of learning, some little bit of going at it. I'm not going to go specifically, the coding portion of itself, which I'll actually make another tutorial, because that's about another half-hour tutorial. So if you're not super comfortable with this, just stay tuned. In about 2 or 3 tutorials from now, 3 weeks from now, we're going to go over the coding itself and understanding, why brackets, why curly brackets, commas, and everything like that. So if you're already kind of more advanced, kind of understand this, or you feel comfortable just messing around with it, go ahead. You're not going to hurt anything, because that's why this testing tool is there, for you to try it out before you actually make it live on your website, right? So how do you make it live on your website once you have the local one ready to go? Again, there's multiple ways. If you have an HTML website, you can just copy paste this in the HTML code and the header section. But let's say you have a WordPress site or any type of other site that you can embed code onto it, and that you don't have maybe access to the actual source code itself, right? I use this amazing tool called Google Tag Manager. I don't spell. We'll make another tutorial here in a couple weeks about what Tag Manager specifically does and the ins and outs of it. But we're just going to kind of move forward as if you already know what it's all about, because again, this would be a 2-hour-long tutorial. So I've already made one for Meatheads Catering. What this does is it gives you 2 pieces of code to put onto your website. In the header section, in the body section, anytime you want Tag Manager to fire different codes, Facebook pixels, Google Analytics, schema into the website. So basically you put these 2 pieces of code into your website, and then you can create other firing sequences for your website. So all of these things, see where it says all pages, all pages, all pages, all pages, all pages, all of these things fire from that one piece of code that we just went from, right? So Google Tag Manager says when you go to any page, fire all these things. Fires my Facebook pixel, fires my Facebook tracking view page, fires my Google Analytics, fires the schema local listing, and fire the website listing. So let's just pretend this wasn't done. Delete, yes. So if we go back, or I didn't actually save it. So Tag Manager is awesome because you can have full control over what gets fired on every page, and it's amazing. Again, there's probably 4 or 5 videos we'll do that go more in depth to Tag Manager and what you can specifically do with it. But for this tutorial, we'll just kind of go as if you kind of already know the basics of it. So I'm going to create a new tag. We're going to call it Schema. And then we're doing the local listing. Tag configuration. Here's all the different types of code that it recognizes. There's lots of it in here. I don't even know what 90% of the stuff's for. Whatever, you don't need to know. If you use any of these, you'd be familiar with it. We're going to do a custom HTML. And again, this is just like a code editor, right? You got the one HTML. And then all you do is copy. Oops, I don't want that because that's the fake markup. Let's just pretend. Let's just copy this. paste it into here. And then the trigger is, when do you want this to fire? Right now we want to fire on every page because every page has to do with our local business. Then you click save, and then you want to submit that to Google. And you just kind of give a brief description of what you're doing, because you can go backwards and remove things that you've already submitted. Schema, listing, local, publish. And then so Google Tag Manager will publish that instantaneously. What? There. Oh my God. Huh. Whoops. I tried copying the whole website into there. All right. Okay, so we put in the right code in there. Script starts with a script because it's JavaScript. It ends with the closing script tag. Save and submit again. Updated schema again. Publish. No errors this time. Fantastic. So we can go back here. New test. Run test. And it should look exactly like how it did before because we didn't change anything. And bam, there you go. Food establishment. No errors. Perfect. Awesome. So what I want you guys to do is I want you to do the website one, which if you're not sure, it is just the script tag closing, and this all it is. So you can go to meatheads.catering and copy this website into your text editor and replace this too, and then create your own tag for it. And then I want you to do also your business one, right? If it's a food establishment, it's a local business, organization, whatever. Have these two ready to go. Because on the next tutorial, what we're going to do is do more of these markups inside of here and talk about more of articles, books, courses, breadcrumbs, corporate contact, social profiles, and things like that. Kind of get that going, ready to go, because these are additional markups on top of what I think these are the two most important ones, right? So that's what we're going to do for next week's tutorial and stuff. So awesome. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give a like. And if you found this useful and want to stay up to date with more great tutorials that we do, again, basically for the next couple of weeks, we're going to do more about Schema and then talk about one of my favorite tools, Google Tag Manager, and how amazing it is and what it can do for your business and websites. So go ahead and hit subscribe. And all right, guys, we'll see you next time.